everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing my January 2025 money diaries. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Raisa. I talk a lot about my personal finances, my small business, and luxury goods. So if you're into that, make sure you're subscribed down below. Okay, I can't believe we're here. It's 2025 and we're talking all things personal finances. Before we get into January though, as always, we will be looking back into the previous month, and last month was a bit crazy. If you didn't know, my partner and I went home for the holidays for the last 2 weeks of December, and we actually just got back a couple days ago. So I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things, and I've been a little bit slow getting back into it. And if you saw what my vibe is for 2025, I'll have it linked over here. I was not very productive when I was in Toronto, and honestly, I don't even know how my spending was. So I feel like I really need this video to just really look at what happened in December and how I did with my budget. I'm afraid to look, truthfully, but we'll definitely look at it together. As always, let me know how you guys are feeling about your finances, and let's jump into the budget tracker. So we are in my budget tracker, and this is the budget tracker that I have been using for honestly 4 to 5 years now, and I just created a fresh one for 2025. You guys will see that in a little bit. But this template has just worked so well for me. It is a template that I do sell on the Lines website. It is $30, and honestly, it's gonna be worth your money if you guys are really gonna start to take steps towards your financial goals and you don't have a budget tracker, or you don't use anything to really track your money. What are you doing? I'm definitely a big believer of really noting down where your money is going. Like truly every single dollar I put into this budget tracker, and I'm just so mindful of where my money is going, whether it's going to subscriptions or shopping or my pet, like all of the things. I just know how much I'm paying for each of these little categories and if they're really worth it. Like yeah, you're noting it down, but you're also being really thoughtful about your spending. So I always think that January, yes, like you can start all these resolutions and all these habits, but I think definitely start here if you don't already have a budget tracker or a way to track your spending, because you don't really know your financial situation if you don't do that. So this budget tracker has been in use for the entire year of 2024. As you can see, we are in the December tab. I might show you guys what's going on in the yearly summary as well. I feel like that is such a good way to see how the entire year has gone. So stick around because I will definitely show you guys what is in my yearly summary, but let's focus in on December. So as you can see, December was a 2-paycheck month. My income was roughly around $3,000 bi-weekly from my corporate job. So if you are new to my channel, I do have a corporate job, and I also have a side hustle, which is the Line. And then my third stream of income is YouTube. You'll see that the Line income isn't here. That's because I do not take any money from the Line. Everything that I make from the Line at this point in time gets reinvested back, just because it's not enough to really give myself a salary. I want to just continue to grow the business, and right now my corporate job is able to pay for just like my regular living expenses. So you will not see anything the Line related in terms of income or really any spending in this, because this is my personal budget. So my total for my corporate job was $6,076.79 for my income, and then YouTube paid me $275 for the month. I didn't really post a ton of videos in December, but I guess this is technically November. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it's because of like my previous videos that have done pretty well that I actually got a little bit of a bump from YouTube. As you can see, I'm usually expecting around $100, but this month I was able to get $275 for YouTube AdSense. And this is only AdSense. This isn't any brand deals or anything like that. I didn't do any brand deals for YouTube in December. So my total income for the month is $6,351.79. And then if you have been around the channel for a little bit, you would know that I always put down $100 bi-weekly into my emergency fund. So I was able to do that for the 2 paychecks. I don't know why these are old dates. I'm just gonna fix that. So for the 2 paychecks that I had from my corporate job, I was able to put down $100 bi-weekly for a total of $200. And then we get into my investments. I always put down $300 from my corporate job into my tax-free savings account with Wealthsimple. So I put down a total of $600. I've been so consistent and honestly so proud of myself. I want to see kind of in my yearly summary what that all totaled up to, because I'm pretty sure I've done this every single month. I haven't taken any pauses in terms of my investing and actually my emergency fund as well. So we'll see in my yearly summary how I did as a total for the entire year and how much I saved and invested. And then getting into my personal bill payments. So these have all remained the same and I'm really happy about that. I didn't have any new sort of subscriptions that I added. So these have all been the same things, like Spotify, my storage unit, my maintenance fee. Still have YouTube Premium and loving it. BC Hydro, my mortgage, 2 mortgage payments, my car payment, my internet, Apple storage, etc., etc. You can pause the video if you want to take a look at all the line items, but my total for my personal bill payments is $2,674.05. So then we get into my expense summary, and as I mentioned, I've not looked at this yet. So we'll take a look at it together. So alcohol and drinks, I didn't budget anything. For whatever reason, I spent $5. I'm not really sure what that is. For coffee, I did buy coffee beans, but I didn't go to that specialty cafe that I like to go to down the street. I went to a regular grocery store. So I'm glad that my coffee has been kind of under budget this month. I know last month it wasn't. Dining out, didn't do a ton of dining out. I think because I was at my parents' for the last 2 weeks for the holidays, we really just like stayed in and like didn't really eat out too much. So I was definitely under budget. And then for my gifts, I budgeted $300. I spent $200. I'll see what that is in a little bit, but I still had $100 remaining. And then groceries, again, because I was with my parents back home, I did not do any groceries, which is the best. Like, I love seeing that I didn't have a ton of spending in this category. So I only spent $65 last month. Nothing for home, nothing for lunch. And then my personal care, or sorry, there was something in the miscellaneous, which was $11. And then my personal care, I budgeted $120 and I spent $205. I know I got a manicure. What else did I do? I'll have to take a look because I'm over by $85 in this category. Shopping, I budgeted $0, but I spent $343. I know I got a pair. Did I get a pair of shoes? No, I'll have to look at what that is. I spent $343, and then transportation, I am over by $100. Actually, not too bad. I'm still under my overall budget of $1,175 for variable expenses. I spent $1,136.36. So let's actually double click into what it is that I spent. This is where I put in every single dollar that I spent last month. So you can see all of my different categories, all the descriptions, and all the amounts. So all of this gets translated into this section here, so you can see how much you spent for that month. And I love seeing that because you can set a budget in the beginning of the month and then see kind of how you're progressing as you're inputting all of your little expenses. Okay, so I spent $204 on Korean skincare from this website called Stylevana that I love ordering from. And then there's also a Sephora purchase in here. And then I went to Shoppers a couple times. And then I got my eyebrows threaded and I went to get a manicure. That all checks out to me. And then the other thing I wanted to take a look at was my shopping. So for shopping, you guys know I went to the Taylor Swift concert. I had a vlog go up in December. I spent $182.28 for Taylor Swift merch, which is crazy. That was 1 crew neck and 1 t-shirt. And then I bought something at Aritzia for $16. I got myself a jewelry box that was $63. And I got a Uniqlo sweater and something from Lululemon. So the total for my shopping for last month was $343, which is honestly not too bad. It's pretty typical. If I didn't go crazy at the Taylor Swift merch line, it would have only been $161. I think I wanted to check on transportation because that was high for some reason. I'm pretty sure this is just like Ubers to get to the airport. Yeah, all of these are, oh, for whatever reason I put my checked Air Canada bags in here as well, but we had to Uber to the airport. So that is my spending for December. It's actually not too bad and everything checks out. Not a lot of groceries, not a lot of dining out because of being back home, which is really, really nice. Now I want to look into my yearly summary because we have hit the end of the year and we're moving on to the next one, but it's always nice to do a little bit of a review. So getting into my yearly summary for 2024, I love this view, you guys, because you can see this pie chart just shows you where your money has gone this entire year. So my biggest spending definitely is like my personal bills. This is like my living expenses. So mortgage, car payment, subscriptions, all of that we just went through. That was about 36% of my total spending. And then right below that are my expenses. So that would be my variable expenses. That's 34%. I saved about 11.4%. And then I paid down 9.8% of debt. And then 8.8% of my money went into investments. The way that the yearly summary is laid out is exactly like all of the different months. You can just see it by month. So you can see for my expenses, I spent around $30,000. My biggest spending month is January for some reason. I need to look at why that is, because everything else is roughly around $1,500 to $2,500. And then for my bill payments, this has remained pretty consistent, as you can see, around the $2,700 mark for a total of $31K for the entire year. And then for my income, this is all after-tax income. This was $96,527 for the entire year. You guys can see that in April I had a big bump of $23K. That is because of my yearly bonus. So that is just on top of what I usually make in my paycheck. Then we get into savings, as you can see, pretty consistent, and there's that big bump in April again because I had a lump sum from my bonus. I did put down a lump sum in April for my emergency fund. So that was a little bit of a bump. And you can see that I saved about $10,100. This section is business bill payments. I used to track my business bill payments around the halfway mark of 2024. Then I stopped doing that because I just wanted to separate out my bill payments for the line and just personal. So you can see that I stopped kind of filling this out, which is totally okay. So just ignore that. And then lastly, for my investments, as I mentioned, I've been very consistent with investing every single month. So I was able to put down $7,800 into my tax-free savings account. So it's really, really nice that I get to see this at a glance and I know which months kind of got a bit of a bump or which months weren't so good because of XYZ reason. And I just love that you can see your year in that way. So that is my yearly summary for 2024. Now let's talk about 2025. So I've got a fresh budget tracker here. When you guys purchase this budget tracker, you will see that there is a very beginner friendly like how-to guide. So you'll see what it's for, who it's for, and when you can use this. This is an undated tracker, which means that you can honestly start at any point. January is always a nice start, but you can also repurpose this every single year. So if you buy this once, you can use this for many years to come the way that I have been doing it. And then there's also a section that just talks about what the tabs all mean, but I will be going in depth with you guys right here. So if you have a budget tracker already and you want to just follow along, or if you are new to budgeting and you just want to get someone's perspective of someone who's been using it for quite a bit, this is that video for you. So this is my 2025 budget tracker. We are 6 days into 2025. So I have already started to input all of my expenses in here so far. So you will see some numbers in here. This is my real budget. These are my real numbers. This is the start here section. And then I already showed you guys the yearly summary. So these are placeholder numbers in here. Some of them are 0 and some of them are just fake numbers. So these will change as I start to use this budget tracker. So I always like to look at the yearly summary at the end of the year, but this is just here for your reference. Then we get into the expense categories. People always ask me, what should my categories be? What should I be inputting in there? Categories will differ for every single person. Think about the categories that you like to spend the most on. It could be totally different from the stuff that I like to spend my money on. They could also come up throughout the year. So for example, last year I was not really into tennis. It was something that I was slowly getting into. In the summer of last year, just added tennis in here. They could also be things that are very seasonally relevant. So I wouldn't put snowboarding as one of my categories maybe in the middle of July, because it's just not something that I'm spending money on during that month. So what I like to say about categories is just try to think of the things that you like to spend your money on and then add on to it later, because you can always add. The reason why this is important is because when you go into your expense log, where you guys are actually going to be putting in one by one what you're spending on, you will see that in the drop down, all of the categories that you inputted in that previous tab will get imported into the drop down. So it's just really easy for you to find the category that you're looking for and then start to input that expense. So as you can see in my expense log, I already inputted a few things. There's a column for the date that you spent it on. This is very important because the date that you put that expense on will populate in that specific month. So I will walk you through kind of how I've been doing this, but all of these January expenses will then start to populate in this tab. The next tab are the months. So the months are always laid out the exact same. It's the same template from January to December. There is always a section for what month it is, as well as your currency. You are able to change the currency. And then at the top, you have that pie chart that just shows you where your money is going every single month. And then this is the section that I always get into, which is my income summary. So this is the same as what I showed you earlier. Knowing how much to budget for your income, I always like to think about how much I got paid in the previous maybe like 6 months and maybe try to get an average there. So I know that sometimes it can fluctuate depending on your contributions and the taxes in your country and all of that. But if, let's say, you've been getting paid around $2,500 or $2,400 every single month, maybe put down $2,500 as your expected, and then put the actual number once you get your paycheck. And then if you have any other sort of sources of income, you can always put them down here. For myself, I have YouTube, and I always expect around $100 for YouTube. It is a 3 paycheck month, which is why I have my corporate job listed 3 times. So I'm expecting around $9,100 for my income for this month. And then as the month continues on, I will then start to input the actual numbers. Because the 3rd has passed and I got paid on the 3rd, I did put down my latest income amount. For my savings, same thing. I need to think about if I want to increase my emergency fund contribution. Right now I'm putting down $100. I did kind of think about bumping that up, maybe $50 or another $100, but we'll see. Right now it's at $100. And I'm expecting to put money in there every single paycheck. So $300 for this month is my expected savings amount. I don't have student loans. This is something that I was just playing around with earlier, so please ignore that. I don't have any debt at this time, so I always keep this section blank. And then moving into my investments, I am expecting to put down around $300 bi-weekly into my tax-free savings account. And I actually also made a lump sum deposit of $1,500 earlier this past week. The reason why I was able to put that down was because I sold a few handbags. I need to make a handbag collection video soon, but I did sell a couple handbags, so that was $1,500. And then you can see in my bill payments, I've already started to fill it out, but this is the same and has remained the same for the last couple months. So I won't go through each of them, but feel free to pause the video. And then the last part is the variable expenses. I left this blank on purpose because I want to show you guys how I budget for the month. So right now it's empty, but as you can see, I've already spent quite a few things. What I like to do is I'm just going to open up my 2024 budget tracker and pull in my existing budget that I've used for the last few months. So I'm just gonna paste the category and the budget in here so you can see that they have populated already. Everything in green in this spreadsheet does populate automatically. Everything that is a white cell you can definitely play around with. So all of these will get populated from the expense log. So my typical categories is alcohol and drinks. I'm not doing dry January or anything like that, but I'm also not gonna be going out too much. So I'm gonna do $0 for alcohol and drink. For coffee, I'm gonna keep it at $50. That has worked well for me. Dining out, I'm gonna keep it at 300, but gifts I'm gonna put to 0 because I actually don't think I'm gonna be buying any gifts this January. I feel like all the gifts were just done in December. For groceries, I will keep that to 300. For home, I think I'll keep that at 0. Lunch, for me, lunch is going to my corporate 9 to 5 and buying lunch somewhere out. So that is usually $25. So I will keep that. Miscellaneous, I don't really put anything for miscellaneous for my budget, but if there is something that I need to buy and it's a miscellaneous item, I just put it in my expense log. For personal care, I know I'm getting my haircut done, but I don't think I'm gonna get a manicure or a pedicure. A haircut, I'll leave it to, I'll do $100 because I feel like I'm not getting nails done or doing any skincare because I did that last month. So I'll do $100. Shopping, you can see that I had already spent money in this category. I bought a pair of shoes. I'm not going to tell you guys, actually you probably saw it in my expense log. I bought a pair of Clark's Wallabies. I'm a little bit unsure about them, but I'm leaning on keeping them. So that was $134, and I usually don't put a budget for shopping. But maybe I'll do $250 just to keep myself in line. I don't really want to be spending too much in January, so $250 I think will just like all the little things. Snowboarding, I feel like I am going to be going snowboarding this month because I've got my partner's brother coming in town and we're probably going to do a few runs. So I'll do $70 just for like lift tickets. Transportation, this is taking public transportation if I need to go anywhere or take an Uber. We're not traveling, but I'm pretty sure I did buy my Air Canada check bags in January because we flew just a couple days ago. So I know that's already in the red. And then treat yourself, I put to 0. So my total variable expenses I have allocated for myself is $1,125 flat. Although December wasn't too bad, I feel like I just want to be mindful of what I have, really look into my closet and just wear what I have because I feel like I have enough things, like I don't need anything. So I really want to just really stick to this budget for this month. But overall, I feel pretty set up now that I have my budget. The last thing I really want to do is write down all of my goals and share with you guys my vision board. I did make my vision board. Again, if you saw that video about my vibe for 2025, you know how I've been feeling. And yeah, now that I'm back in Vancouver, I feel like I can just sit down and do my goals. I'm glad I was able to film this video for you guys. I have more coming in terms of personal finances and all that stuff. If you guys have any questions about this budget tracker, please leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, you guys.